Okay, this is the March meeting of the Central Florida Computer Society, the main meeting as we call it. And we'll be starting off with Mike Ungerman doing a presentation on some recent technical articles he's posted on a Discord website where there's a bulletin board that he's set up. So I think, Mike, it would be best for you to describe what it is because you got a better handle on it than I do. All yours.
Okay, Huey, did you switch recordings or just going to edit?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm Mike Ungerman, a member of the Central Florida Computer Society. And for those that stuck with us at last month's meeting, we took a quick look at the Discord social media platform, which I found enhancing as an alternate, say, to Facebook for posting articles, very similar to what Ron Brown et al. Uses on their Thursday shows when they have an interactive YouTube video and they go to Facebook and they scroll through various technical articles that the members of Tech for Senior have posted. And I suggested to the Central Florida Computer Society that they might like to use the Discord BBS as a similar means of communications among their members as an alternative to Facebook without some of the same tracking problems that Facebook has. And then more and more as we got into looking at alternatives for the CFCS website, which has been kind of stagnating over the years and not really being used, good place for announcements and so on. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and I'm going to go through some of the technical articles for probably 15, 20 minutes, as long as you guys have the strength to stick around. And we will actually bring up some of the posts on some of the technical articles there, very much like Huey participates in with Tech for Senior on Thursdays. And you're all welcome to kick in your thoughts on some of these technical articles as well. As a carryover from one of the things that Huey was talking about, and I put into the chat on the Windows SIG, we were talking about multiple monitors and then putting things on different monitors to display them. And then for those that didn't have alternate monitors, using, say, the Alt-Tab button and switching between applications on one screen. And several people did post in chat saying, I just don't have the space for multiple monitors and I can organize that way. And I made a comment in that chat that Windows, Mac, and Linux all have the capability for multiple desktops, no matter how many monitors you have. And what that gives you is a separate area with its own allocated memory as well. So managing the resources of the computer. And you can switch between desktops. And the command to actually see what's available on your desktops, most of you will just have one, is the Windows key plus the Tab key pressed more or less simultaneously. And when you do that, if you do it right now, it'll bring up a display on your computer and you'll see that you have one desktop open. And then there'll be a little plus sitting next to it and it'll say, open a second desktop. And if you create a second desktop, you'll see the applications that are sitting over on your first desktop. And all you do is say, pick one and drag it onto the second desktop. And then you can just, with your mouse, click on the desktop that you actually want to see that particular desktop.
Mike, you know you're not sharing, right?
Right, because I can't share the switch. At least I don't think I can. Let me just see if I can do that while I'm doing this now. Let me share my screen first. And I'll share. I do have two monitors, so let me go ahead and choose screen number 2. Okay, so I'm sharing screen number 2, and you should see my mouse pointer moving around and some icons that are over here. And if I wanted to, I've got Huey's News and Reviews up on my desktop number 1. So I'm just going to grab that tab and put it on my second screen. Okay, so I'm still on my first desktop. I just have 2 screens open. And I've just taken the WinSig tab off of my first screen and dragged it onto the second. I'm going to put it back. Okay, it's gone back. Now what I'm going to do is bring up, hopefully I'm going to bring it up, and it's Alt, Windows tab. Okay, so Windows tab. Okay, so if you're looking at my second screen, this is my second screen. Are you seeing my mouse pointer move around, Huey?
Yep.
Okay. At the top of my second screen, you can see that I've got desktop 1 showing.
Yep.
And I've got desktop 2 showing, which I've put some things on. And I could actually, if I had something over on desktop 1 that I wanted to drag onto desktop 2, I could do that. So I'm just going to select desktop 2. Okay. So sitting in desktop 2 on monitor number 2, which I started sharing, you should all be seeing the Discord BBS. And I can actually drag that. Now I'm dragging it over onto monitor 1, and you see the same empty screen behind it. But I'm actually sitting in an entirely different area of Windows memory, looking at the Discord BBS I opened up earlier. And if I wanted to, which I do actually, I've opened Edge so I could show some information about Discord and its security. And so now I have 2 applications open on desktop number 2. And let's see if I hit Windows and Tab. Yep, there's Windows and Tab. And it's showing me here on desktop number 2, there's the 2 applications that I have open. And I can just go back to desktop number 1. And I've selected desktop 1. And as you're looking at my monitor number 2, and there's nothing there. And I can quickly, using keyboard commands, I can do Control and Windows with the right arrow. And now I'm on desktop number 2. And Control on the left arrow. And now I'm on desktop number 1. So during the day, if I have multiple things open, whether it's just one monitor, but multiple applications, I can have, I don't know what the max is. I'd probably have to look it up. What is the max number of desktops you can have under Windows 10 or 11? Probably just limited by your memory, but it might also be 8 or 16, some similar number. In fact, hey, let's just find out. Let's just ask. What are the maximum desktops that can be open at the same time in Windows 10 or 11? I didn't do that as a virtual thing, so let's see, new desktop, Tom's Guide. All right, so let's do that actually as an AI inquiry. So I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to go to Bing. And I'm going to go, I asked earlier today in the Windows SIG, does this Copilot the same as the Copilot that's in Windows 11? So we'll just go to, I don't want the song Celebrating the Beauty of Earth, but that's what it started with. So same question. What are the maximum number of desktops that can be open at the same time in Windows 10 or 11? Okay, submit. Copilot is answering. Windows 10, it's not fixed based on memory. Windows 10 can handle multiple displays up to 10 monitors. That's interesting. But I want virtual desktops. So the task view feature. It says practically some users have managed to create hundreds of virtual desktops. So again, it's hardware and systems resources. I've never used more than 2. One user reported creating 716 desktops before encountering issues. who knows, Huey, maybe putting your Zoom on one desktop and putting the screen that you want to share on the other desktop might solve some of your memory problems. I don't know. And that isn't what I really want to do here anyway. Okay, so take a quick look at Discord, then I'll come back and answer some questions about it. We started this back in, let's see, I'll go up to my administration channel. And at the very beginning, we started this back in May 29th of 2020. I did cover this last month, so we just were looking at alternatives at that time to the website and potentially for conferencing, because Discord has the ability to do social media kinds of things like audio and video conferencing. And there's a voice channel, and you can also set up a video channel. But they never kept, in my opinion, they never kept their capability up to the capability that Zoom has come up with. But I like the idea that the Central Florida Computer Society, and in one of their servers, which we set up as the CFCS BBS, could actually set up something that looked very much like the BBS of days of old. And it contains various different channels, which I've organized along subject matter. So for example, supporting our special interest groups, I've got the main meeting, which is today, and we put a post up to let people know if they went here instead of going just to their email. We have a tech sig on the fourth Tuesday of every month at 7 in the evening, and we can put up the invite for the meeting, and then afterwards we can post the recording. We have an Apple SIG that used to meet in person, used to do sometimes hybrid meetings, and was doing virtual meetings with Jitsi, which is another video software, recording software, but has stopped both of those and could theoretically be picked back up again if enough of the Apple SIG members wanted to have an online meeting and either do a Zoom conference and then post their results, or actually come here to Discord and hold their conference and post their results. And then here's the Windows SIG we just had, and Huey's announcement that he put out. And then for last month, let's see, we've got, here's last month, here's the actual website with the link to the video. Then I went in and I started saying, well, I kind of like to have subject-oriented posts, but more or less towards things that we're actually doing online that have regular information that could be posted, that people don't have to actually hunt around and find out where it is. So most of you know that the Association of PC User Groups has various conferences, videos, YouTube channels, and so on. And so I have documented the fact that they've got a playlist on YouTube, and the fact that we just recently had a February Learning Linux workshop, which we posted. And when they post the video to that, I'll add it to this. So that could be there. And then Stug, for those of you that are in Stug, know that they have periodic meetings as well on a different day, Wednesday, if I remember correctly, Huey. And I posted the invitation to that, and I also posted one of the video presentations that Stug held. And then most of you are aware, and many of you are coming from the Tech for Senior group originally, where we all learned about each other. And I get their announcements by email and their newsletter, and I duplicate them here for Tech for Senior. So once I've gotten past that group, then I get into the technology kinds of things. So I wanted to sort of duplicate what we did in one of our regular meetings. We actually pass a woven basket around the room with pad of paper and pens, and let people take it out, ask a question, put it in the basket, bring it up front, and then the members would have their questions answered by the people that are actually present. And we have a virtual Ask It basket with people answering the questions, and several are already that have joined already answering the questions that were put in here. We were talking about Gemini as a source of truth in one of the questions. And then the next group of items that we then started again putting in alphabetically are the operating systems. So these are posts that are more or less on Android. And Drew from Sarasota group commented on one of the postings. We were talking about using an alternate DNS for your internet connections on Android phones. And this could probably be a good point to start what I wanted to do with this period of time, and that is pick some of the posts that are actually up here and then just open up a discussion for those that would like to kick in. So the question is, not only for Android in this case, but actually for everyone else, are there people who are using an alternate domain name service on your computers or on your phones or on your tablets? And I guess what I would do then is switch back and stop sharing and let you raise your hands if you'd like to reply to that question. So anybody using an alternate domain name service, or are they taking the default domain name service that your router uses?
I use alternates, and usually the service that you get your internet through, they have a DNS. Quite often, it is very slow to respond compared to the alternate DNS services. And sometimes you end up with what's called a poisoned DNS, and that occurs quite often with the individual ISPs more so than the major DNS alternate services.
Okay, good answer. The technology behind it is when you type in an address, such as www.google.com, the internet has absolutely no idea how to get to it, but there's a database, and that database is stored and then distributed by the domain name hosts to the various internet service providers. So it would set the equivalent address, for example, IP address, to 6.6.6.6. I don't know if that's correct or not. I'm just using that as an example. So somebody's got to look it up. So you type in that address on your browser sends that to your router. Your router, as a default, says, I don't have a full database, so I'll send that query to the internet service provider that I'm connected to. So I am presently using AT&T as my internet service provider. I've got fiber cable coming to the house. I've got an AT&T router sitting up here on my desk. And so it will send the request to go to Google to AT&T, who will then send it to their own corporate domain name servers located in computer centers all around the world. And the master domain name lists, and they will find out, oh, okay, he wants to go to Google. Let's give him 6.6.6.6. And as Tim pointed out, I guess it's probably more than 3 or 4 years now, but there actually was a major compromise where a number of these databases, hackers got on and said, oh, if somebody wants to go to Google, I'm not going to send them to 6.6.6.6. I'm going to send them to 259.513.214.001 or something like that. And they may have even taken the time to clone the landing page that you would get if you typed in google.com. And so you think, okay, I'm on Google. I think I will go search. Well, suppose what you were looking for was chase.com for your credit card account. And they put the landing page for Chase on there to sign in to your account. You think you're there. Everything looks fine because they cloned the page. And so you start typing your login and your password into the box to log into Chase. fully expecting it to respond either with secondary verification or something else that Chase would normally do. Or maybe you even said, remember my name and password for a particular period of time, and it doesn't even bother to check that. It just goes ahead and logs in, and you think at that point you're going to your account. And one of two possible vulnerabilities could be, it might just end there and you get nothing, but they've got your login and password and your Chase account. Or they've turned on keyboard logging on your computer, and everything that you type at that point is being recorded and they can get access to your account. So that's the worst that could happen. So if you can depoison, if you will, that database, then getting an alternate lookup is probably the way to go. So once again, let me share. And then switch. This article is essentially saying, set up Android to use Cloudflare, which is the DNS service. And Cloudflare uses an IP address of 1.1.1.1 in order to filter your requests in front of where it would actually go to your destinations. And in the case of a phone, normally you don't make those changes to a phone, but this gives you the instructions how to do it in Android. And there are instructions how to do it on your computer, and there's also instructions on how to do it in your router itself. So at home, every inquiry will go that way. And I'm just trying to, okay, so Drew, seeing this post, has already started interacting with the post, an advantage of Discord. And he says the VPN software he runs on a cell phone changes his DNS servers for him to those that are protected by the VPN itself. You have VPN software that you should be able to run on your cell phone too, because you pay for the Proton VPN, correct? And I said, yes, but I don't use my VPN, my Proton VPN, for all my connections. Perhaps I should, but I don't, on my phone or on my desktop. And I only turn on the VPN if I want extra protection from my ISP's tracking for various different reasons, perhaps. Or if I'm out and about and doing something on the internet that I prefer not being tracked while connected to a commercial hotspot, such as, say, from a coffee shop trying to access my credit card account and see what my balance is. The VPN will give me that kind of protection. But I could have a domain name service instead of just whatever host my phone is going through, whether it's the cellular network or the Wi-Fi hotspot from where I'm at. So it would seem to me to make sense to actually set up Cloudflare. And let me see if I click this. Where is it going to go? It's going leaving Discord, visit the site. Okay, it opened up another window and another browser and went to Cloudflare. So now I've got the link from Discord to Cloudflare telling me how to set it up. And in addition, you can see that Cloudflare has got instructions on how to set it up under iOS, how to set it up under Mac OS, how to put it in your router, how to put it into Windows. So I got some nice information in addition. So that's kind of a sort of an overview of what you can do with Discord to do that and post technical articles. If I drop down all the way to the end, which is not very far, the latest thing posted on Android was on the 2nd of March. And I wanted to know for myself, I wanted to know what the latest Android version was and what are its features. And I did actually look that up on my phone. After I saw that on my phone, I have the Discord app for my Android phone. So I just went over to it, found the Android subject channel, and I posted this article. So this is platform agnostic, if you will. The same arrangement of channels will also appear on any installation of Discord that I'm signed into. And I see Walter Wood is currently active right now on this, and he joined us after seeing this presentation previously. I will answer the question I was asked in chat, and that was, is this a private service? I will say that it's a semi-private service in that somebody searching for CFCS in the Discord library of channels or of servers would probably get a link to request access, but can't get in. However, to you guys who are all here, I will give you the ability to come in to this web link, which I will place in the chat. So I have copied this. You will get a link to our administration channel on the Discord server under the CVS BBS, and it will also display all the other channels because they're open channels. So what I'm now going to do is go to chat, switch back, go to, I guess, can I go to chat? Yes, I can. And I will answer Elizabeth and everybody else. And there is the link for those of you who are with us today. And I will leave that up on chat.
Now, Mike, will that be, let's say, good tomorrow or the day after?
I made it good perpetually. I could have made it a 3-day expiration. So when we publish the video of this, I'll wait a couple of days after the video has been published, and then I will probably change that link. Just so
Okay, good. Yeah, that was my point because we're making it public.
Yes.
Okay, and then I'm going to add something I just grabbed. Let's
Okay.
see if,
So I'm going to go back to the server, and you can tell me what channel you're putting it in, and then we'll see what we got.
I'm going to put it in the chat right now,
Oh, okay.
just
All
because.
Then I will take it from the chat and post it. That's the easiest way to do
It's too long, so I got to put it in the Discord.
it.
All right, so let me go to Discord here. Which browser am I in? This one, I guess.
Oh, were you going to put it in chat, or were you going to put it in?
I try to put it in chat and it's too long.
Oh, it's too long. Okay, that's another advantage of Discord. Okay.
So let me get back to Discord, and I'm not signed in. Open Discord. There we go.
I don't know why I'm not seeing it, so hang on. Let me get back here. Here we go. Now, another advantage of Discord will be once Huey posts it, he can tell me what server or what channel he's posting it in. But if I were just joining, I would see the text channel become brighten or bold, and I know that there's new content. And if we look over, I have the list of people who are signed into our BBS in view, and you can see now that Huey has shown up. I'm there, and Walter Wood. So it shows that we are online at the present time.
Now, should I put it's about signing into Discord or as a new? Should I put it in administration or BBS comments?
Well, I would normally put in BBS comments, but it looks like you've already put it in administration.
No, I haven't touched it yet.
Oh, somebody has. Okay. All right. Well, let me look and see what's in administration that just got in there. And Cyper Sandy says wave. Oh, she just slid into the server. So there's Cyper Sandy. And I can wave to her and say hi. Oh, yes. Put it into BBS comments, please.
BBS command, yeah, comments.
Or comments. Yep.
Right. Okay, I'm in there. I hit the plus sign. Says upload a file, create a thread, or use app. So I'm going to create a thread, I guess.
Okay.
And then I just paste it on, let's see. there's links here of.
All the links that are in what you paste will show up in your post once you
Okay.
enter.
I just pasted it. I guess I don't have to hit anything.
And then you hit enter
Oh, I do. Okay.
at the end. If you want a line space in Discord,
Oh, I got to give a name. Okay.
oh, the thread. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't put threads in, so it'll show up then in the comments as a thread. Okay, that's good. New feature that I haven't used. Okay, so now Huey has posted a comment and he's created a thread, which I'll now click on this little triangle. Theoretically, okay. And I see there's a little line here, which is probably saying, show, yep, that shows the threads. So Huey says to join a Discord channel, you'll need to one message. So I'm going to click on it. Ah, no, I haven't seen that.
This
So
was from Copilot.
Yep. All right. So this one, then I have learned a new feature. Not only could he have posted this just as a post, but he has opened up a thread in this channel. And the thread now comes up on the right-hand side of the screen with information. And these aren't links. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are.
Those were the things with the numbers are because it was Copilot. Those were the sources and numbers in the article.
Apparently this would have to be https://support.discord.com, and when you paste it, you can edit it later if you like.
Okay, there is a way to do
There's
that.
a way just to edit it, right?
No, but there's a way to make it HTML.
You'd have to go in and I think make it a link. Let's see. Let me take this one, see if I have, and let me go. Delete, speak, mark, add, reaction, reply, copy, filter. Okay, so I wasn't the author. You may have edit as one of your.
Well, yeah, I can edit it, but I don't see
anything
in the edit.
All right, let me see. Well, let me try something here. Okay, so message to join a channel. Okay. So I think we should have URLs available to us. I'm going to hit Shift Enter, and I'm going to type same thing. It's up here, discord.gg. I'm going to highlight it. And okay, this should make it HTTPS, etc. Let's see if it does. I don't know. And I'm going to hit enter. No, didn't do it. Okay, so let's try. I guess I'm going to have, let me try it this way. No, that doesn't do it too. So it wants the full, I'll have to look it up. So
Okay.
it wants the full, so if I do it, now notice it changed to blue, it immediately recognized it as a link. And now not only does it do it, but it gives you the landing page itself.
Okay, but the article itself is not HTML.
No, well,
No way to do that. Okay.
if I do this, oh, it just gives me the image. Okay.
Okay, but I see what to do. All right. The other thing is I saw an article, did a search, quick search, and let me find that. Whoops, what did I hit? I hit something else here. Message to join the Discord channel. Okay, it's in the thread. and Windows V. And here's an article.
Okay.
And that's an article from Android Authority. So it's nice. It actually connects to the article and gives you a picture from the article and actually a statement from it. All I did was type in the link.
And then I think now if I type on this, I'll actually go to it. Let me see. No, this is just showing it to me. So I would actually have to go, but it's a hot link.
It's a hot link. If you click it, it'll take you there.
Yep. Okay, and let's see what since we just finished with the Windows SIG. Let's go down here. And now in this case, if I knew that it was going to get a reaction, I probably would have been better to create a thread, but let's see what we had. I said, we were talking about backups. And I said, a related subject is the making of restore points in Windows 10 or 11. And I'd bet money that most of you reading this have never made one, meaning a restore point, manually, although your computer may have done it for you when installing new software or deleting old ones. And Windows will usually automatically create system restore points in certain situations. So you may be able to restore to a previous system state, even if you've never manually created one. However, you may want to manually create system restore points before making major changes to your computer setting, installing drives, installing large applications. Remember my comment to Huey in the Windows SIG about trying to solve his problem and making a complete image backup of his drive, then installing a new copy of Windows, then seeing if that solves the problem, and if not, having to restore the image. Well, another alternative to that is making a quick restore point so that everything that's currently set up on his computer is just documented, if you will, and restorable. Then go ahead and make changes.
Where did you post this?
I'm sorry, I'm talking, what's on the screen I'm sharing. Is it being shown?
Oh, I'm looking at Discord itself. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So I posted this in Windows.
Oh, okay. I was looking at Windows.
And I'm down at the last discussion that I worked my way up to it, making a restore point. And then I posted the article, and Drew made a comment saying it's a good posting because Microsoft, much to his disappointment, has restore points disabled by default in Windows 11. I didn't know that. I wonder why. Good subject for another Windows thing. And then he says, in his experience, a 16 gigabyte flash drive, in this case, doesn't work if you include all of the system files. You actually need a 32 gig drive. So there's a customization to Windows restore points that you can make in the settings for it. Do you want all of the system files or just some? But that's interesting because I've just used 16 gig drives on mine. And then it said, I said, to make matters more disappointing, I created one of these, a Windows restore point, with the system files for a neighbor who has a Hewlett-Packard computer I recently needed to reinstall Windows on his computer. And the restore flash drive was unable to install Windows. However, it did not have his network driver, so Windows couldn't attach to the internet during the install. Very disappointing. And I made the comment, I also did this. This was Drew saying that. And I just also restored an HP computer and tried to just reinstall from a standard installation drive, and I couldn't get it to boot. But HP has its own partition. And in that partition, it would boot up and it would restore from scratch, and we did recovery. So even having a restore point or a recovery troubleshooting disk from Windows 11, you may not be able to get it to boot, and that causes additional problems. But I can throw this open to discussion as well. So I'm going to stop. Let's see, I'm going to go back, stop sharing, and just ask the general question. how many of you on a routine basis are making Windows restore points, especially now knowing that Windows 11 doesn't enable them by default.
Not a lot of us.
Not a lot of us. Okay,
I do it at least once a day.
there you go. Okay, Steve.
I have programs that do it for me automatically, and if they don't, then I'll do it manually.
Okay. I think in another iteration of this operating system, since I reinstalled Windows about a year ago, I had a shortcut to making a restore point enabled on my desktop. And if I recall correctly, I got that off of an article that said make a batch file. And then in that batch file, it actually took the steps necessary and then executed them. So I'm gonna research that and see if I can't find it, and I'll add on to that article. I could have made it a thread, and that would be added to the thread.
You think you could do that with that new power tools that we just talked about?
That's a good point. Power tools might have something about making restore points. I don't know if they do.
And Copilot as well.
Ah, there you go. All right. Who running Windows 11 right now, because it won't interrupt your Zoom meeting, has a spare flash drive where you can actually turn off your microphone so we don't all do it simultaneously, and ask your Copilot, make a restore point and see if it works. Let us know. Interesting. Okay. One more, and then we'll throw it back to Stan. Okay, so that was a couple of key clicks, and I got back to my second desktop and my second monitor. Couple of clicks. Actually, I'll just show, like, there's my first monitor. I mean, my first monitor and my first desktop, and there's my second monitor and my second desktop. Just the way I set up my desktops to display. But if you only had a single desktop, you could just be switching between 3 or 4 applications on one desktop, 3 or 4 applications on another desktop. Artificial intelligence, something that Huey's most interesting in. And on March 10th, today, as a matter of fact, oh, this was actually posted in our chat today. So it shows how quickly I can get something off of a link, which in this case was the chat on our Zoom conference, and pop it into Discord into whatever category that I felt I wanted to do. So the thing that interested me was Godfather of AI explains why ChatGPT, Copilot, and other AI chatbots hallucinate. And they give a summary. And all I really did is paste in the YouTube link. So it actually pulled the title and it pulled the summary the author had put in. And let's see if I just get the video or actually get it to go to YouTube.
I see the danger of this concentration of power through proprietary AI system.
So I can actually, if it's a YouTube link, I can actually play the link embedded within Discord, or I can now pop it open and get it full screen from YouTube. So,
Don't play it. Don't play it.
No, because it's, yeah, and it's less than 10 seconds anyway, so it won't go through. Yep, and we don't have his rights to do it. Now, as far as posting it on Discord, I don't know. I've got a lot of YouTube videos posted on Discord. So I'm at this point, I'm not concerned. Okay, a good demo of what it can do. Can I answer some questions about Discord while I'm there? I'll leave it up and just let you raise your hand, or Huey can call on you. Or... All right. There are other Discords out there. It is not as popular, say, as Facebook, with Facebook groups, but is extremely popular with techies, with software, with programmers, with gamers. I happen to have another server that I joined some time ago, and it's a Linux server. And if I select that, you can see all it did is just switch to that channel. And I can look at the various channels they've got. I can look at the threads that they've created. So here's the threads on the general Linux chat. And I don't see, even though it said there's threads, I don't see them as threads. 50 new messages. So if you go to Discord on a regular basis, say every day, or once a week, or once a month, and go to a channel, you'll see how many new messages have been posted since the last time you were there. If you don't have any interest in reading them, you can mark them all as read, or I guess I can go to it. Let's see if it goes to it. Yeah. Okay, so it went down to the last message that I had read on this server, and now it's starting to show me the new ones, and I can go through. Which distro do you use? Now I see it did give numbered lists, and somehow that numbered lists have links to learn more. Oh, that's just what that is. Okay, so can I get to it? No, just somebody reacted. Oh, and I actually went there, so I reacted to it, and it recorded that I reacted to it. Okay. All I've got at the moment, other than our board of directors did try it one time for the BOD and basically did not adopt it. Okay, I'm going to close this, and I'm going to bring over, I thought, let's see which one I've got. I wanted to know, since one of my concerns about Facebook is tracking, and can someone track you on Discord? And I think what I did, no, I thought I had done it. Let's see. So I had searched for it using Copilot. So, and it gave me the link, but it didn't, even that right. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to go back to Bing and ask that same question. So I'll just go to Bing, go to Copilot. It's going to go that. I don't want that particular answer. So compare privacy and tracking of users between Facebook and Discord. So I can start with the bottom. Overall assessment, while Discord is popular for its communications features, its privacy practice have raised some concerns. It's essential for users to be aware of what data they share and take precautions. Both platforms have privacy implications. Discord's tracking activities and lack of end-to-end encryption are notable concerns. Facebook, on the other hand, has faced criticism for its data collection practices and privacy breaches, and it does give you references. And I think any social media platform is going to have some concerns. We all know Google is tracking emails by at least their dynamics, the data, perhaps not reading every email, but they know how many you put out, that kind of thing if you're using gmail.com. So anytime you use a computer and you're connected to the internet, there's some collection going on, whether it's your ISP or the platforms you go to. So Facebook data collection, third-party apps, shadow profiles for non-users based on data shared by users. That's interesting. Facial recognition to identify people in photos. Interesting. Tracking, cookies and pixels, ad tracking, location tracking, end-to-end encryption not provided. There's supposedly a secret conversations feature. Okay. And in fact, it's facing scrutiny. Discord, data collection, user data. Yes, they're going to get your name and your email that you use to sign in. Messages. Now that would concern me a bit if they were actually keeping the messages that I would send to a user. Server activity, I would expect them to track, and the IP addresses of incoming messages. So that's where, if that was a concern to you, turning on a VPN when you went to VPN, Discord might be help. Moderator, which I am, I can view all messages sent and received. That's interesting. Didn't know I could do that. And possibly Discord employees. Who knows? Discord tracks user activities within the platform, which, so again, I think that's metadata. Is what you click on, that sort of stuff. Messages are not end-to-end encrypted. That means Discord itself can access the content of messages. Discord allows users to download their data and adjust privacy settings, and users can limit the data that Discord stores. I'll have to do that. So, and then there's some discussions on Reddit, which is another forum, which I didn't actually consider in some of the options for using alternatives to Facebook. And okay, is there a more secure alternative to these? Why not? Signal, yes. Telegram, yes. Matrix, I've not heard of. And something called Session, I've not heard of. A friend of mine went on a vacation cruise to South America and the Antarctic. And he took Signal on his phone with him, and we were able to exchange text and voice messages through the Wi-Fi on the ship using Signal. Telegram I haven't used. So use of AI to get some information on the services that you use. Okay, put that back. Stop sharing. And Stan, I'm going to send it back to you to announce what you plan to do for the rest of the meeting in case we have some people not interested in following what we're going to be doing.
Mike, one final thing.
Sure.
I can't raise my hand for whatever reason.
I'll do it for you.
But anyway, I did on Copilot, I tried to do it and tell it to create a restore point, and all I got was directions on how to do it.
Okay.
And also a link to a video to tell me how.
Okay. So it won't follow your
It
actions.
won't create one. No.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Stan?
Okay, one quick note, you guys have made me aware that maybe I should be doing more restore points, because I would only, in the past, if I was installing new software or taking stuff off, it would prompt me to do it, and I would say, sure, let's do it. Other than that, it never occurred to me to just periodically, like once a week or once a month, just do the restore.
Windows 10 used to do that automatically, but I noticed that it wasn't. I know that if I use, if I do an install, I can tell it. I'm trying to remember if I was using Revo Uninstaller has an install feature, and if one of the options in the install feature for Revo Uninstall is to turn on make a restore point on installation.
Well, in the control panel, there is a list of the functions you can do, and one of them is create a restore point. All you do is make a shortcut of that in your start menu, and then you've got it. Click on it whenever you want to check on restore points or create one.
Okay, good.
You can get the full list if you turn God mode on. If you look on how to do that, there's a big description on it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now you got it, Stan.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to discuss is that, and this may not be of interest to the majority of the folks that are on here, but the Central Florida Computer Society, combination of the pandemic, we're suffering in that our board of directors recently has had two long-term members pass away, and a third person, our treasurer, has just recently resigned due to both health and remodeling of home and other issues. So we've had a huge hit to our board of directors, and we're trying to determine our future. What do our members have in mind in terms of, should we meet again face to face? We stopped collecting dues during the pandemic. We want to consider reinitiating dues to cover what expenses we do have if we continue in the form that we are. We have a post office box. We have a Zoom account, and we pay dues to APCUG. So other than that, there's not too much. But if we were to disband as a nonprofit organization, there are very strict state laws regarding, we would have to disburse all of our assets, including cash in the treasury and any equipment that we have. But the equipment is probably 5 to 10 years old in terms of a projector back from face-to-face meetings. And the computer that I'm on now is one that, what we used to, when we had face-to-face meetings, we would bring a computer to either the library or the Denny's where we used to meet, and use a projector that's, probably 7 years old, to project onto a screen. So we're in the process of trying to make up a poll to get our membership's views on where we should take the club, and do we stay in existence as we are, or become a private group or private club which has far less restrictions. And we're in the process of the poll that we're making is something that Mike Ungerman has been helping and come up with an alternative one to what I was just putting some questions into a texting mailing. Mike, can you describe that a bit more for us now? Or maybe even you could probably show some of it on the screen.
Yeah. For those of you who are members of user groups, or any group for that matter, you want to collect information. I used to use a commercial application called SurveyMonkey, which originally was free and still is free in a very limited form, and discovered merely by accident that Google has, as part of its Docs program and Drive program, has a Google Forms app, and it's reachable at forms.google.com. Actually, I probably can't get to it because I'm signed in right now for Zoom with my own address, but I think I can at least go to Google Forms and show what it does. Let me just go ahead and hit with screen 2, share, and we'll take this into it, and we'll see. Yeah, I'm in my main account right now. So if I go to, oops, I did misspelled it. That's a sure way to get to the wrong place. Yep. Which that might have gone somewhere else if I wasn't using Cloudflare for my DNS. So we'll make sure we get it right. There we go. And they give you some interesting things. Oh, I did get it. Okay. Well, why am I? Oh, I'm all right. I'm signed up in CFCS over here, even though that's there. All right. Well, then I'll do it. So I'll just show this in terms of what's there, because we still haven't run this by our board or not. But this is the kind of data that we wanted to get to. So the nice thing about it is you can have this just as a chronologically presented subject matter. What's the purpose of the questionnaire? Whether or not the person is signing in from a valid email and whether or not you want to collect emails. You can make totally anonymous Q&A surveys if you like. So, and those of you that go to the APCUG workshops, Judy Tallur uses Google Forms to gather her information for the workshops. And I commented to Stan the other day when he sent out just an email to individual members for the next board of director meeting. Very easy to put a short form together and send it out to the board and just say, can you attend? And then count the number of returns and see if you've got a quorum. So we're going to gather your name and address. Are you a member of CFCS? And since this is going to go out to our CFCS Tech and TechSig list, many of you who have joined the TechSig just to get information on our upcoming events will probably get the link to this form. So we are asking that at least you indicate whether you're a member of CFCS. Even if you answer no, you're still going to be allowed to answer some of the preferences for communications that we used. And then I talk about the fact that, hey, we've got to have 7 officers to be a legal corporation in the state of Florida. And we've defined them in our bylaws. And so we've got president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, 3 directors. And since this is going to our membership, saying specifically to our members, are you willing to step up and volunteer to be an officer to keep us operating legally? Now, if they say no, okay, fine, you've still got an input on what we do, but at least we'll know by name and by email if there's people that are willing to do this that we just haven't contacted to talk to them about taking that position. And then we continue saying, okay, regardless of your answer, knowing that our membership is significantly dwindled, should CFCS attempt to continue operating as a corporation, requiring the board of directors previously mentioned, a treasury requiring a bank account and income source, filing with the IRS state of Florida, and other administrative tax. Yes, continue as a corporation, as we have in the past. No, take action to disincorporate and seek other methods. And if this goes on, such as to be a multi-line question, but using social media and technology. Or I no longer wish to participate in CFCS. You just happened to catch me, but I haven't been doing anything and I don't come to your events. And so at that point, the question logic pops into place. And you can design your questionnaire to have multiple forks as a result of the answers that the people answering the survey give. So I had to then think ahead and say, okay, what sections do I want based on the yes, no, or I no longer wish to participate? So I created a section 2 and a section 3, which basically says, if they say yes, continue as a corporation, let's go to section 2 and answer those questions. And if they say no, let's disincorporate, okay, then what do you want to do? And that's in another section. And at this point, I no longer wish to participate in CFCS. And if somebody, and I probably could add another question, another distractor saying, I'm not a member of CFCS. I just happen to get into this and no longer wish to participate in the questionnaire. And it just basically submit the form and they're out. At that point, then the form forks to those sections that I created. Continue a corporation, where would you like to serve? Disincorporate, reorganize into a social group, and start to gather information on the people who do that and what social media are they already in, what kind. Then both of them come back, since this doesn't, other than this person, they come back and the sections rejoin in section 4, where I talk about, okay, how would you like to communicate and be contacted? And what would you like to do about our website? Use something else, and then give us general comments. So we're still in the draft. We haven't asked for responses, but the interesting thing is when you go to responses, Google will sort them question by question by question, give you totals. And if there's math involved, you can actually link to Google Sheets and get the results in a spreadsheet, which will also give you graphs. And all of this is basically free to anybody that can get to Google Forms. I do have a Google One account, but I think any any person who has a Gmail account can get into it. So it's a fairly robust method of surveying people and getting inputs. Huey, do you want me to mention what you suggested?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Not yet. So essentially, this is still in draft. For those of you who are CFCS members, at least you know what's in process. And let me stop share. Let me go back. Windows.
Jim Glass has his hand up.
Okay, Jim?
Well, I just wanted to share with you, I'm a member of the Glendora Seniors Computer Club, and we took a vote basically to stay online and not meet in person. So we just meet via Zoom. We also have minimal dues, but we need the dues, to pay for our Zoom account and the ABSUG membership, that we maintain. And it seems to be fairly successful. I mean, there's been a huge drop in membership, but I think a lot of it is just because people are more into their phones than they are into the computers.
Subject matter, yes.
We also looked into forming a nonprofit corporation, and we decided not to do so, just to stay as a club. And there were too many restrictions on being a nonprofit, so we finally said, why bother?
Yep.
And it's we meet twice a month in the afternoon from 12:30 to about 2 or 3, and it's been working pretty successful. And part of the problem
What,
that we
James, let me quickly interrupt you just for a second. Stay on
Sure, go ahead.
the original thread. Okay, so you chose not to be a nonprofit corporation. Do you have a legal entity such as Social Club, which I think is a 15C7 or 9 or whatever with the IRS, such that the money that you're collecting at least can be tracked and if necessary, and there's very minor thresholds, so that you don't have to file with the IRS. But once
we file a postcard once a
Yeah.
year. And that's the only organization that we're using.
And do you have in that organization, do you have like a bylaws and it says who's your coordinator, chairman, president, whatever,
Yeah.
you have officers?
Yeah, we've had bylaws since the beginning of the club. I've been a member for, I guess, 20 years, and we have bylaws. We have a board of directors. Of course, as you probably all know, that once you're elected, you're there for life. So there's not much turnover on that. But as I said, we just keep it as a club.
Okay.
With that one postcard to the IRS. Our dues are $12 a year. So it's fairly minimal, but it's enough to cover the minimal expenses that we have. And we take a vote with the group as to how the money is spent with an annual budget with our treasurer, which we just did, so that we know what the cost is for the Zoom, the cost is for ABSUG. We don't have to maintain any equipment anymore because everybody's got their own equipment. So we don't have any expenses with the club. We don't have to pay well, we didn't have to pay any rent, but we don't have to pay the rent, and we don't have to pay
no
for
meeting place rental. Yeah.
no meeting place rental. We don't have to provide internet. although we were getting the internet through the city of Glendora, but then they changed things, and where we were meeting, instead of being a senior center, now is a community center. And at one time it was being inundated by homeless. So we much preferred meeting online, but and thank God for Zoom.
Yeah, one of the questions that's further down in the questionnaire for those that said, let's become a social club, and then how would you like to do it in, internet wise and so on. I did put an additional distractor in there, and that is say, meet informally as scheduled at like a restaurant or something, for a lunch or brunch or whatever, but not necessarily formalizing it at a such date and time every month sort of thing. Just leave it
Well,
that if a group wanted to get together, that they could do that.
we did do a couple months ago a picnic in the city of Glendora, where people could go physically, and it's nice to see people in person. However, I don't live in Glendora. I live 15 miles away, and I don't have a driver's license anymore, thanks to the DMV. And plus, I avoid people because of my mental physical health. So for people who can't or don't have transportation, this is the best. We found this was the best way to do things, and it seems to be working quite nicely.
Thank you for your input. Walter, you raised your hand.
Yeah, before I would like to answer a questionnaire like that, I would like to know what are the advantages of staying. Well, first off, what are we doing now? What requirements are required now by the IRS or the state or whatever? What are the advantages? Is there something we get out of being a corporation? And how would we get out of the corporation, and how would we organize a social club? And I would like to know those things, in the questionnaire before I answered any questions.
I'll give you an anecdote. We always had issues of how do we increase our membership? How do we recruit? Back in the days of newsletters, we'd use Microsoft Publisher, or we'd use some of the desktop publishing software before that. And we had a newsletter editor, and we had people that were focused on those kinds of things to help come up with ways of doing it. We had actually gone from a slick, shiny white, probably 30, 40 page publication monthly to newsprint. And we had an advertising editor who would go around selling newsprint, and found a publisher in one of the local towns, Sanford, I believe, that could produce 1,000 or so, and use mailing lists. We would have groups go around to libraries and distribute those things. And we had to have an advertising manager because we had to come up with money besides dues in order to support that kind of activity. God, I don't remember the year. Huey can probably recall, but back when the Las Vegas conferences were Comdex, we would gather with APCUG and send delegates, and we would go to the various events at the hotels. And one of them was a great big event with lots of sponsors. And one of the sponsors was Microsoft. And Judy, what? No, not Judy. What was the organizer's name, Huey? God, I've got a mental blank. Anyway, she arranged. Go ahead. She arranged for Bill Gates to speak to the assembled APCUG user groups at this event. He was the guest speaker, and all of the sponsors would have door prizes and raffle prizes. And so Microsoft, in addition to their software, whatever said, we're raffling off Bill Gates. And Bill Gates will come to the winning user group at a negotiated meeting, and will address your user group, and you can make it open to the public. and we will help you recruit new members, and we will offset 50% of the cost of your dues, which at that time were somewhere around 40, 45. I don't remember what it was a year, but somewhere in that thing. So this became a major event. I mean, it was big, and it was so big that it shut down traffic on the nearest expressway, and we had lines formed outside the hotel ballroom where this was set up, which Microsoft picked up the cost for. And we set up a membership booth that night, and people thought, oh, if we join CFCS, that will ensure us of getting a seat inside. and so we actually picked up, I don't know, 1,200 members, something like that.
Somewhere in that range. And Mike, Microsoft was afraid they wouldn't fill the hall, so
Yeah.
they paid half of the dues for
Yeah.
anybody in that night.
Yep.
And I was a member and didn't get in.
The
So-
fire marshal came and basically closed down any more people attending. At a certain
Well,
point.
you can imagine going from a membership of about, oh God, I don't know. I'm going to say we probably on paper had around 400. But at meetings, we would have 60 to 100. And we were meeting in auditoriums. We met at Rollins College. We met at a high school auditorium. We met at an American Legion post. Places that could take 100 people anyway. And we had to find places now that could take, well, obviously 1,200 people weren't going to show up at our meeting, but we were concerned. I think when we first started looking, we were looking for an auditorium that could take 800, and eventually got to a school that could take 400. So this was big business. I mean, there's no way around it. You had to toe the line. You had to file your IRS reports. And we did have an incident where some of the reports were not filed. We had to hire an accountant and go through an audit. So from that, I don't know, Stan, are you still with us?
Yes,
Do you know how many people are on the books right now as actual, even though we're not dues paying at this point, but are actually on the books as members of CFCS?
well, we have, I think it's about 85 members of the TechSig email system. There are 3 different groups that we have. There's one that was set up, one mailing list that was set up through responding to our website, and Bob Black used to run that, and I think he said he had about 200 names on there. Huey, how many names do you have nationally on your WinSig mailing list through your own website?
I think it's 200 or 300.
And I have no idea how many of those people are Orlando local people. So
When we changed our local meeting point pre-pandemic, we went to a local town, Castleberry, and we went to their small American Legion post, and they had a big meeting room that could probably seat, I guess it could seat around 100 people if you put down the folding chairs. But I'm trying to recall, and we did get a lot of people initially. But I'm trying to think, we probably never had more than 20 or 30, maybe 40 that would actually show up at the local meetings.
well, the last place that we were meeting before the pandemic was the Castleberry Library, the Seminole County Main Library on Oxford Road. And that was after Huey had moved to Bradenton, and we would use Zoom for about 5 years before the pandemic, and follow it with our main meeting. And we typically would have anywhere from 15 to 40 people in that room. So my guess is that we have, I think there might be 40, 50, 60 people that consider themselves members of CFCS. And that's why I wanted to do the poll to find out how serious are they to remain members, and should we consider possible face-to-face meetings or stick with the Zoom? And if so, should we consider the possibility of either merging with the local Macintosh group. There's a local Adobe publisher group, or somebody like Stug, for example, and get our members' feelings for that and how willing are they to take places of responsibility to help us do that. And one of my goals about keeping it alive, as far as I know, we are the oldest still in existence nonprofit PC user groups in the United States. I've been involved since 1983 when I moved here. I happen to be the longest term. I'm not the oldest member. We have several people who are older than I am, but I'd like to keep her alive if I possibly can.
So there's ways to keep it alive. And one of the questions that was asked of me at one time, I don't remember if it was you, Stan, or not, if we disincorporated, will we lose the name? And the answer is no. You can always keep the name. I mean, when you file with fictitious names for groups with the state, all you would basically do is refile and take the ink off the name. And now you can be a social club, as James had mentioned, and still be the Central Florida Computer Society, even as a SIG in another user group. If we weren't the lead and they were the lead, we could be, a Central Florida Computer Society SIG, or the SIG of the Central Florida Computer Society, or something along those lines. So the name wouldn't disappear necessarily, and perhaps even the lineage, could be promoted with the group. If I were to guesstimate, just looking at who's here right now in the member list, we have 26 participants right now live on this group, and probably 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, see what I would say are CFCS members. It's possible I just don't recognize some names. So typically, as I let in on the questionnaire, the demographics of our group have gotten as old as the group, or older. And the interest in what we're doing, I at one time made the open charge of the Florida Association of computer user groups, and also at an APCUG gathering, that our PC user groups an anachronism today. They seem to be focused on seniors who would like to have instruction or social interaction on using modern technology where it doesn't come second nature. And I think that's a very good purpose. And thus, I recognize Tech for Senior, which is not really a formal group, although it's getting more organized, but it's not really a formal group, for putting together as large an audience as they have worldwide now, with the number of people that actually attend, and having done an amazing job serving the demographics of seniors who want that kind of association. And it seems to me that the Central Florida Computer Society should sort of follow suit. Keep some kind of organization going, perhaps only online or occasionally face-to-face, and try to simplify the management such that it was terrible losing the 3 people that we lost, and 2 people actually losing and 1 who resigned. And it's, life goes on until it doesn't. So as that group of dedicated individuals is no longer supporting this organization, if we don't do something from what we have right now, we'll be in violation of state and perhaps federal law, trying to keep a not-for-profit corporation alive when there's nobody here to do it. So I think it's a timely matter for our group to consider. And my recommendations are just my own, frankly. So, that's another reason we felt we would like to solicit from those members who do get this, and even from those who get it that aren't members, your thoughts as you're giving us today as to what you think we ought to do. Dick, I see you sitting here and you're active and you've been a member for quite a while. You want to throw in a couple of cents on what your feelings are as a longtime member of CFCS?
I'm still here. Well, I think we're having trouble coming up with topics and speakers for meetings. And so the main meeting is sort of become an ad hoc meeting. Whoever wants to talk about whatever they want to talk about, they can talk. But we're not actually seeking speakers like we used to do. The other thing is technology has changed dramatically since this group was originally formed. And computer user group almost is an obsolete term. It's more of a technology user group because it includes your EVs, it includes phones, it includes smart devices around the house. All those things are of interest, I think, to a lot of people. I would like to suggest making the group a lot less formal. I would dissolve it and just make it a social group. But I would like to perhaps consider some of the things that Stug is doing, which is from time to time, and I would say maybe quarterly or once or twice a year, you could have a arrange to have people get together for lunch or something like that. That might keep the interest up. I will continue to stay in it as long as any kind of organization exists, because I like to be with the people who are in it, frankly. And that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you for your input. Clark, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. As more of an observer than anything else, I'm from New Jersey and I'm president of the Princeton PC Users Group. And I've been struggling through the same kind of questions you have. You know, is there really a need for us to keep going? Personally, I like to keep it going because of our history. I got a feeling we're older than you guys. We actually started in the 70s because our original name was called the IBM PC Users Group. And one of the things we used to sponsor, but we don't anymore, is the Trend Computer Festival. And it's actually next Saturday. And they're doing, I think it's their 46th year. So I'm going to put the website in case anybody wants to take a look at what they do. They used to attract over 10,000 people. And I live like a few blocks from where they hold the festival. And the roads were blocked to the point where the township asked that they move to another location. They did move for a few years. They're probably down to about 200 people. But for two things. First off, I don't, I'll probably answer your question there, but to me, it doesn't matter whether you're incorporated or not. In New Jersey, and I'm pretty sure all we tell the state is who the president is and who the secretary is, maybe the treasurer. So it's not hard for us to keep going. We just need to find two people. And I usually just appoint someone to be secretary. But we pay $50 a year, which we still have some money left over in the treasury, not a whole lot. So that's why this is becoming an issue. The other thing to let you guys know is I did talk to Judy Taylor back in December about this, and she said we did not need to be incorporated. That was totally up to us. All they care is that that it's a group with a website and that they pay the dues. So that's all I can add right now. But I really appreciate what you guys do, and I hope you stay together somehow. But again, to me, the legal stuff doesn't faze me a bit. But that's the other thing. As long as we don't pay anybody, we do not have to file an income tax statement with the state, and we don't do anything with the federal government. We don't, so far they haven't caught up to us, but I think it's the same thing. As long as you don't pay anybody, we don't have to file any kind of IRS or New Jersey state tax information. Thanks a lot and keep going.
Thank you, Clark. I will make a statement, especially for other user group members that are online. We found out the hard way a number of years ago that just ignoring the IRS, they don't go away. They eventually do find you. And we were extensively audited. We had to open up our books. We had to get an accountant to go through, do the balance statements and show the IRS that we were charitable and that we had disposed of our money for charitable purposes, that we weren't making a profit and individual members were not benefiting from the money that was collected. A second time, which was not this user group, but a automobile group that I'm a member of, they filed as a social group with the IRS, which only required the green card to be filed. And due to a lack of passing the knowledge down from treasurer to treasurer, secretary to secretary, it got lost. And we went something like 5 years without filing that postcard. And again, IRS checking their records saw that, yeah, we had filed that postcard at some time in the past and issued an audit statement. And again, even though the treasury was very low and they were not filed as a not-for-profit corporation, they had to go through everything to show that there was no money accumulated to be a profit and that no individual members accumulated, got any benefit from the money that was there. So groups like us, whether officially incorporated or not, in dealing with the IRS, do the minimum, research the minimum, because the long arm does reach out. It's something to be aware of. And I just asked if I could have the link for the Trenton User Festival if you're still online, but I'm not sure. Oh, he's still there. Yeah.
We did post that.
Okay.
And a couple of comments I want to make. Clark, we actually started off as a group in 1975. We didn't incorporate until I think the early 80s. And secondly, this is not unique to computer user groups. Rotaries, women's clubs, whether it was sewing, they're all older people and they're all dwindling, and this is all pre-pandemic. So it is a common problem, and maybe long run we all won't be here. But I appreciate everyone's thoughts and attention. And anybody, what other points do you think we need to do, or have we gotten? I've gotten some good ideas. I appreciate everyone's input. And
Aaron's got his hand raised. Why don't we go ahead and get his input?
Hi, just a comment. I'm in California and we're SIPSUG, and we've struggled tremendously also since the pandemic. We've pretty much, we have a computer, a local computer company repair shop that's sponsored, I guess, from 87 on. And we've made multiple attempts to get people to meet there. Maybe it could hold maybe 10, 15 people max. And there's still a few people in the group. Yeah, we want to meet. When it comes down to it, nobody shows. So, and obviously a lot of the members, I'm fairly new within the last 5 years. A lot of the members are older seniors. Unfortunately, people pass away. And it's just hard to attract more people for this group to keep it going. I mean, like the previous gentleman said, we keep it up to date with our tax status with the IRS and all that. And when I first joined a few years back, they're like, "Well, do you want to do president?" I'm like, "Sure." So yeah, the struggle's real. Everybody's seeing it. I'm joining this my first time here. I was like, wow, we're not the only ones. So
we another anecdote. This is pre-pandemic, and while we still had probably 100 and some odd members, we met at Rollins College. They had a second, actually smaller auditorium as we declined in size. And it was our annual business meeting. And at the annual business meeting, we elect officers. And the current president, I don't recall who he was, just basically said, "I'm not running again. Okay, I've got other commitments and I'm not running." And we opened nominations from the floor and there were no nominations. And several of the members said, if we don't get a nomination, we won't meet the requirements. And we might have to look at closing down CFCS. We didn't get into all the details like we're doing now. And a gentleman who was sitting in the office who had just seen a poster, I guess on Rollins College. I don't know, we'd have to research exactly how he found the meeting. But he was interested in the subject matter. He came to the meeting and he said, "May I speak?" And he raised his hand and I said, "Sure." And he said, "I would hate to see an organization doing this much good fold because you can't get somebody to lead them." And he said, kind of like you, Aaron, he says, "If you can't find anything, I mean, I'm not a technical expert, but I will volunteer to be your president for a year." And he did. And we stayed alive and we got the necessary directors and people and officers to support him. And it was very motivating, from that point forward. But it's not at this stage in the game, our pool of people to do the work that our officers would have to do by law in the state of Florida as a corporation, not for profit, is becoming less and less and less. And as Stan said, he's been doing the job as president for quite a while. I did it a long time ago. Huey did it a long time ago. Many of us did it because of it's the people and not necessarily the subject, but the technology attracted us. My health has been lagging, I'll put it that way. My attention span has been lacking as well. And I find it hard to focus on these kinds of things. I can, if I can close the door and turn off the TV and sit down as I did today and try to work and come up with a questionnaire, but actually doing the kind of organizational work is just really not something I would like to do. And I said this to Stan a couple of years ago, and he asked me again today. I said, if I were to come back and volunteer to be president, my platform would be to disincorporate and convert to a social media group. And the other board of directors who heard that presentation, I haven't heard back from each of them, but at least one or two have individually said, "Well, we understand that. And if you were to do that, we would probably support you." And it's not that I want to see this happen, but I think eventually it's going to need to happen if we don't get a pool of people willing to step up and be the leadership of the group. And our declining membership kind of supports that. But again, I'm putting my own opinion into this.
Well, what do we have for expenses for the club?
We've got Stan mentioned it, we've got the Zoom annual expense.
Okay,
We've got the APCUG dues.
okay,
And something I meant to ask Judy that I heard her say at one of the APCUG Zoom sessions when they had their annual session was that clubs who have very limited membership and little or no dues structure, so they don't have the money, can use some of APCUG's resources, both to host a website and or to use the Zoom account that APCUG has. And I don't know the details of that. And certainly that would be something we would look into were we to make a change in what we're doing to see
Well,
if that's something
if
that
we
would help.
establish some kind of a membership list as a result of the questionnaire.
Yeah.
Could we just pass the hat for income?
I asked Huey this and I'm not sure I formed it in an email to Ron. I might have done it. My recall is not there. But I've essentially said, okay, you guys have a way of getting donations, whether it's buy me a coffee, whatever. There's several different, web type things. But how do you handle that income? Are you putting it in a bank? Do you have a bank account? Do you have a social organization? Because if it's Ron's basically foundation, even though Huey's involved, it becomes a Canadian organization, and I'm sure they have different taxation requirements and different requirements for groups up there. So that would be something I would investigate if we say, okay, we would need some donation if we want to keep our own Zoom account, and some donation if we wanted to keep our APCUG account. And if, say, we had 10 donating members, you know, we could probably raise the money necessary on an annual basis to keep that alive, if that's the direction we went in. And Stan talked about if we kept the corporation in existence, that we would probably go back to a due structure of some sort, but we haven't, you know, determined what that due structure would be.
Stan, are we paying any insurance?
No, we decided to stop that this past year. And let me add a little more about our finances. That refund was $691. The Zoom is $150. Our post office box is $170, and we could possibly do away with that. And the APCUG dues is $50, and that might dwindle if we had fewer members. But the other point is that we did have a profitable SIG for a while. The Drupal group ran an annual Drupal boot camp, I guess they called it, and they made several $1,000s every year on that. And they were part of us for a while. We were doing that to help them and give our nonprofit entity field to them. And we have roughly $5,500 in the bank right now as a result of the years that we had with them. They left us about a year and a half ago, I think it was. So there is our money. The money is not our main concern. We could afford the Zoom and the post office voucher, you know, with no dues coming in for a lot of years. But if we had 20 members paying $20, $400 a year in dues would pretty much cover that. And that's the kind of thinking I'm, if we were to stay in the format that we are, that would be part of where I would like to be.
Well, one thing we need to consider is if we have formal meetings, in-person meetings, we really need to have insurance.
Well, none of the APCUG groups really do. The slip and fall requirement would be covered by the place that we're meeting in, I would think. And the other is the, what do they call it, officers?
Officers' liability.
Yeah. The board voted to drop that, and as a result of our questioning of Judy Taylor and what the APC group in total is doing, that there are really only one or two groups and out of the 80, I think, that are part of APCUG that are still doing anything like that.
The automotive group that I'm in, that is the social organization, kept an LLC structure anyway. And they are an LLC, and their officers demanded that from the dues that are collected, that insurance be created in order to insulate the board of directors from being sued. And there were situations where a person got out of hand, because sometimes we'd meet at a restaurant and there'd be drinking, and there were fisticuffs, and there were some pretty nasty situations over the years. And they wanted to ensure that even if the restaurant got sued, that the board of directors individually and as a whole would not get sued, because it was an official meeting. So that just something to consider, that yes, you might get away from it, and yes, the likelihood of being sued is probably very low, but each person who agreed to be an officer would have to accept that liability if they accepted the nomination to be an officer.
Well, we've had no occurrences of it that I'm aware of in the 45 we've been in existence. And the board did come up with the feeling that if someone were to sue us primarily because they followed our advice, computer wise, and they took, they took some steps that we recommended, well, they volunteered to take those steps. We made recommendations. We weren't forcing them or telling them they had to do this. So it was totally dropped. Just maybe 6 months ago, which is why we have that refund of our insurance, but that was like $900 a year. And we've been paying that for, I don't know how long, probably at least 20 years and with no occurrences whatsoever, so.
Well, I've had my house for going on 37 years, I think, and have not had a fire. I certainly could have saved an awful lot of money by not paying my fire insurance.
Well, if you
I
had a
also
mortgage,
haven't had a hurricane knock my house down either. Even with,
I had a fire and it was well worth all the years I
yeah,
paid my renters or condo insurance.
yeah. So I'm just saying, I understand where you're coming from, Stan. And I would just say, assuming that CFCS Inc. remains as it is, it's still something that you would, if you continued on as president and you personally didn't care, you would at least want to let the incoming members of the board of directors know that you don't have that liability insurance. Barbara made a comment in chat. I see you're there. Do you want to say that? Unmute and just go ahead and say that, Barbara. Unmute your mic.
You're muted.
You're muted, Barbara. Sorry. There you go.
Okay, I live in Novi, Michigan, so I can't attend your meetings in person. I do gain a lot from attending these meetings, and I am a dues-paying member of SEMCO here in Michigan. But I'd be willing to pay like an associate status dues in order to support this group, because I gain a lot from attending your meetings and I learn a lot. And now that you're talking about artificial intelligence, I mean, you know, that's the next category. And I just feel, you know, to enlarge my knowledge base, I get a lot from this group.
Appreciate your back to you, Stan.
Thanks, Barbara.
You're welcome.
yeah, appreciate everyone's comments and, Mike, unless you want to keep going, I think we've gotten a lot of great ideas and, I'm suggesting we call it an afternoon and,
I would just say, I did send the link out. I'm pretty sure it's still in the chat if you get it. And you can also send an email. Well, I don't know if we publish our email CFCS website, if it even has an email for us, but we'll get to you one way or the other and get it out again. But you're more than welcome to come to the Discord and lurk, as the vast majority of people do on systems like that. But we also appreciate contribution comments on the things that are being posted.
okay, well, at that point, thank you all for coming. Stay safe. We'll see you.
Save the recording, Stan.
Is
Or
Huey
Stu- or
recording
Huey.
or Mike? Huey?
Huey's
I'm
here.
the host. I will close the meeting and stop the recording if I can find where it is here.
Okay.
And if you'll give me a second, I'd like to stop and download
The chat.
chats.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. And I don't see a way to stop the video, but it will stop as soon as
I can do it, I think. Stop recording. Let me just hit it. It does. Are you sure? Yes.